All right. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Good evening on the East Coast. Good afternoon on the West, and good morning everywhere else. um, Super happy to be here with everyone and sharing an additional session with Susan Wheeler. We would like to talk about each other's efforts, but I want to start with Susan's initiative and anything around Virtu because it's such an important and such a salient initiative right now that merits, I believe, most of our attention as we bring it in. For those of you who are not entirely familiar, I'd like for Susan to give a quick capsule of what entails in the project and what are the what is it that's relevant right now in comparison to when you started it a few months ago.
Thanks, Jay. Some of you know I have the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference and a nonprofit called the Responsible Jewelry Transformative. And I was planning on, before COVID hit, doing a conference, partnering and helping out doing part of the conference with Monica Gachui from Nairobi. And we were going to do a conference. She was doing a conference in Zambia. And when COVID hit, she said, there were going to be a gem fair there. And I was planning on having, inviting American designers, UK designers from all over the world and people to come and attend and go to the gem fair. And Monica said, what are we going to do? And Jess Hudson also was planning on doing mine tours there. What are we going to do now that we can't do this and we can't, help the miners and they're suffering, they're having trouble, sustaining themselves. And so that's kind of what started Virtu Gem. We started working with the associations in Zambia, the mining associations, structuring and building a mine-to-market responsible supply chain for their gemstones. We use Googlin blockchain, and we've done food drives of 20%. We've now added Malawi, and it's great. I mean, we have a lot of gems on the platform. We have a lot of traders and miners. They each write an autobiography about themselves that we just post, and you can link and see where your gem who is mining or who's trading your gem. We have mine information. So the program's really grown a lot in what we have to offer. Our systems, it's all growing and going smoothly. Unfortunately, COVID is bad there right now. It's gotten bad in both the countries that we're working in, Zambia and Malawi. We'll be working in Kenya soon too. But one of our country coordinators, she's okay, but she had COVID for quite a while, and they're getting it in Malawi, and it's that South African strain. So it's it over there seems like more of a concern. It's been a concern for us, and we're of course feeling it. But I'm hoping it's not just starting, but it's kind of bad right there now. And a lot of people are not mining. It's rainy season, so if they were able to mine, that it's been sporadic with COVID off and on the mining, and now it's rainy season, so it's kind of like you have what you have, and how are you going to feed yourself if you don't have anything to sell, or still with no buyers? So Virtu Gem is a lot of actually fun. We have great partners on the ground. We have a good time with it, but we're feeling the pressure, of helping.
Of course. So on top of the challenges of getting product to market, you have to deal with the obstacles of keeping it safe and keeping it within the most healthy possible way. So I mean, it's incredible. I have to say, I have incredible admiration for Susan because what takes me an idea and try to formulate it, it'll be light years, whereas Susan, it's immediate, and her potential for keeping this project in the way she's formulated and put it in front of the world, it's incredible. Everyone in this space have great admiration for you, and I just wanted to say it.
Well,
important.
Thanks, Jay. Well, I have a good team with Monica and Jess and Rachel who works with me, and also, everyone that we're working with in Zambia and Malawi. There's a lot. It definitely takes a really good team, and everybody's really passionate. So, just like everyone at the Ethical Gem Fair, all of the suppliers, joining on with you guys. I mean, you're all friends for a long time, but, we've got Brian Cook, we've got Eric Brownwart. I'm not going to use the word grandfathers, but that's okay because they're actually grandfathers of all of this. And I can tell you, like, always I'm picking up the phone and talking to them, and learning from them. Because as I say, as Monica Stevens says, I wasn't a gem dealer and I'm not, but there's so much to learn from everyone in the group of the ethical gem suppliers. And I'm always learning from all of you all the time. So
it's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I think most of us build our business based on the product and try to put product in front of the market. And I think what's so incredible about your initiative is that you put the mission first, and then the product is the stream of benefits to that initiative. So it's great. And I think based on the last Chicago conferences you put together and the availability that you made for some of the merchants here to be there and to be able to help you and have participation in that, it's remarkable. I'm very grateful for everything you've done, and I see a lot of people in the chat are in agreement. I met, you probably don't remember, but I met Susan. I believe this was your first year exhibiting in Las Vegas at the Designer Pavilion or the Designer Center. This is 2 years ago.
Did we meet at JCK Design Center?
I popped by. This was the time when I was walking the show.
That my first year. You would have been a baby.
I would approach newly adopted, the newly minted talent to the show and approach them with business cards to tell them about the possibilities with recycled gems. I did remember meeting you there, and from the beginning, there was so much to tell about your line and what you were doing. So it was great. So this is years later. I'm glad that we still have a connection.
Yeah. I think again at Jewelry Industry Summit, we connected, and yeah, I mean, it's been, I don't know how many years it's been since I have really only used recycled diamonds. In really your conversation about antique diamonds just made me fall in love with all of the old mine cuts, and like us talking about that really made me fall in love with the personality, because I'm always into the gem that's different or something that makes it unique, and so I was drawn to that anyways, even before I switched to completely recycled diamonds, which was a hard switch for me to do, because I used to use rose cuts and I used to use slices, and and there were a lot of things there where I was limited. So for me to have you, and we can talk about, Perpetuum diamonds, to have everything certified and still be carrying so many unique cuts and so many unique diamonds that were one of a kind. I mean, it's perfect. So why don't we talk about like how you have certification and what that means?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, it started out of admiration and love for these very particular, very niche items, right? The antique cuts, which are in a way even more rare than your standard modern cut diamonds, because they were mined during the time where the only few deposits were producing just about a portion of what one single diamond deposit produces today. So it's sort of a dwindling resource in many aspects. So given that they were rare and they had been around for a while, it sort of enlightened me in terms of seeing it as the inherent sustainable aspect of gems and minerals in general. I mean, I was brought into this business via a family, and all we could do and think about was placing product into the hands of manufacturers and retailers and do it all over again. But when I started getting into antique diamonds specifically, it dawned on me how incredibly the power of repurposing metals and gems in general can be, right? So being in the trade in New York City, where there's a lot of non-factual delivery of information, it got me to think that, you know, what could be out there beyond GIA certification that could help the buyer and the makers of jewelry to feel that they have been well informed. And we were lucky to find, and we were extremely lucky that SES Global Services had just put out their first standard for post-consumer recycled gemstones in the jewelry industry. SES has been around for quite a while, and they certify a lot of environmental on the side of environmental practices for the forest industry. So the little Rainforest Alliance frog symbol that you see on recycled paper, that's them, that certification. So they're being out there in terms of making industries more conscious about environmental responsibility and social responsibility. So when we found their standard, we were thrilled that we could participate. So year one was a challenge. It takes a while because you are audited against every single aspect of how you do your business, how you treat your employees, how responsible are you in sourcing and your stones, the origin, how well you disclose the information, how well you keep your records. Are they auditable? Are they online? Are they verifiable? So in some ways, because we were sourcing things from the secondary market, we were already knowledgeable about the provenance. We couldn't tell much beyond that because it never carries on, unfortunately, specifically with diamonds. But there was enough for us to create a point of information. So the certification validates our efforts in putting the provenance information in front of people. And beyond that, they examine how the company behaves in terms of utilizing, fossil fuels. They evaluate how many times I drive into my office, how many times I take the bus, and that takes a weight into the evaluation. And that basically, in conjunction with many other things, has earned us the responsible source to the trade certification. So we're very proud of having that in place. SES just put out, after many years, and that's coming up, and it's probably going to be of interest for us, a new standard in which responsibly production of diamonds will come into play. They're trying to level the playing field for both lab-grown producers and naturally mined diamonds. That's interesting. That's coming around the corner. And in fact, I think EM just put out an article about that on their blog, something that people should look up to. So they're becoming more and more relevant in this space, specifically on responsibly sourced and manufactured diamonds. So we find that incredibly important. It's one of our biggest differentiators in the market, and it's part of what we do. It's something that we feel it's as I've seen personally in my experience, it's not just talking the talk, but it's walking the walk, right? It's providing proof by an independent party that what you're doing is in line with the mission and that drives us to bring product to market. So yeah, it's interesting, and every stone and every particular piece that we source has something to tell. We understand the provenance, we understand all the historical aspects of it. So we enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that EM article, but I know the blog is great, so I want to check it out and see that. I love the blog that's been going on there. Is it talking about cutting as well? Is that one of the equalizers? Because I know that seems to be an issue with the lab grown versus the natural. Is that everyone needs to be more transparent about their cutting practices?
Yes, it needs to be. In order for you to be certified against that new standard, you have to be all encompassing, and you, depending on what sector of the trade you're most participative in, whether it's on the mining or the cutting, by cutting I mean the whole gamut, right? Preforming, cutting, and polishing, or you're sort of at the distribution end of it, or subsectors like mine where I source already from the secondary market. You have to be all encompassing. Otherwise, if you're not checking all the boxes as most standards need to be, then you don't earn the certification. I mean, you can be on a path to earn the certification, but you don't earn it until you have it all figured out. So it is my understanding that it's drafted, even though it's a drafted standard, it's got teeth in it, and I'm looking forward to expand on that. We've already put so much effort onto our 2 current standards that thinking of a third was kind of like challenging, but yeah, it's out there.
That's great. I mean, we don't need to get too much into policy, but there's a lot of policies coming down the road, both in the US and in Europe, that are going to really affect the big mining companies quite a bit. So I think you'll be out there ahead and ready to go and not have any problems with that. But there's going to be a lot of suppliers that we're used to, the jewelry industry is used to having, that are going to have to make a shift.
Yeah, no, it needs to be pushed in from every direction, and hopefully not too long from now we will see the product of that effort. I would like to invite you to, given your understanding, we're switching over to your project because I think it's important. What will be the most urgent calls to action right now? I understand your website's up and running and it's ready to for purchases to be made. What do you recommend people to help you with on product or other way?
Purchases are key. Our way of selling is is gem by gem, and that's different for everyone. The way that people were used to doing business coming from Malawi and Zambia, we're selling, for example, where we had done a food drive. There's a mine owner, small scale mine, not artisanal, and she's an emerald miner, Ronica, and we have right now 4 different emerald mines coming with, represented on the platform. And as you have a background and know about emeralds from your family business. It has been very rare to get emeralds out of Zambia because they used to be completely purchased by the Indian and Russian markets.
Right.
So everyone's selling single stones, but Ronica, where we had done a food drive at her mine, said, I need help again, and she brought a huge parcel. She brought a large parcel, more than what we usually sell, and we have just sent some money to help sustain that mine right now.
Okay.
But it's just kind of the call that we're getting, where we have to think, how are we going to do this? How are we going to sell there? To try and move some product for her. But that's really, every situation that we're hearing about is different. That's the one that we have from Ronica. A lot of, everywhere, everyone right now, I think.
Surely.
The artisanal miners, of course, as well. When we were being asked, there's still food drives and there's still premiums. Mining had started up in Malawi again, and then everyone wanted school fees paid for. Okay, we're back in the mines. They were saying in the middle of fall. Now all of the women miners couldn't pay the school fees because they hadn't had work for so long. So it's kind of just like cumulative.
Yeah. It's a bit of a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the problems, are we have more people that, want to come on the platform all the time, and we still have people, and of course we still have people that haven't sold anything yet that have been on the website, and it's hard to explain that, yes, we have beautiful pictures of your gems. Yeah. We're working on it, because there's just a need right now, and because their usual buyers just aren't there. Like I said, this is our project in Virtu Gem. Brian Cook hears the same thing from his miners in Brazil. Eric with the mines that he's working with, Monica and Stuart at Moyo. I mean, it is global.
Right.
We all see it in different ways. So, with Virtu Gem, we're chugging along, we're moving along. We've got beautiful product, and the cutting in country. I think being able to get custom, for the designers to be able to have custom cuts on your gems is really
huge.
It's really good. And another fun thing is we're doing workshops where we're connecting with the miners. We've had gem cutting workshops where we're talking about what's trendy in gem cutting. And Jessica Hudson and I put that together. It was really fun. We put, gem cutters, you are the artist. And it showed them, sugarloaf cuts and just polish that facet grade material as a cabochon. We'll love that. And it's different thinking, and it's opening up different markets. Absolutely. And I think most of the people that come to ethical gem suppliers, they're a market that's really interesting for, the miners and the traders to get to know.
That's right.
I think one of the nice things is, as my roots as a designer is like, you're independent designers and you're working with a lot of the miners that are artisanal miners. They're like independents as well. And so we understand, we get that connection of they're entrepreneurs, we're entrepreneurs. And I think that connection is always really good. And it, I say mind to market, person to person at Virtu Gem.
That's good.
Yeah.
I remember not too many Tucson trade shows ago, you had this very beautiful campaign, and maybe it's time to reignite that the tip the cutter.
Oh yeah,
that's fantastic. I love that. We tend to forget that middle person from source to delivery. That that's so important, and the fact that you're doing it in country, it's remarkable because it's well needed.
Well, in Zambia, they have the National Gem Cutting School. So there's actually a national school. So a lot of the Malawi cutters, learned in Zambia. And Zambia has a lot of cutters there that need work.
Okay.
There's a lot of cutters that need work there and a lot of skilled cutters. So it's, it's not a huge stretch. They just usually don't, have the material themselves. I said it was hard to get Zambian emeralds, and usually before COVID, a lot of Zambians couldn't get emeralds to cut.
Interesting. Wow, that's just the market dynamics that are hard to control.
Yeah, it was actually I was talking about it with Mukosha today. Our cutter was on this morning, and he said that earlier there's two major large-scale mines, two in Zambia, Grizzly and K-Gem, and 2 years ago, the government came out and said you can't, because they had a monopoly, and they said you need to open up other areas for the small scale miners. And we work with FESMA, the Federation of Artisanal Small Scale Miners in Zambia, and he really advocates, Joseph really advocates with the government a lot. So they ended up giving area within this emerald, it's actually gated, to other small scale miners. And so the four groups that we work with, two of them are co-ops, and the other two are mine owned by Zambians. One a woman and one a gentleman, Charles. They're all in the same area as the K-Gem, which is Gem Fields owned, and Grizzly. So they're getting the same material. Okay.
In Zambia, I can tell Zambia has the interesting ability of being a consistent material. So you can have many multiples. From the Colombian emerald perspective, sometimes it gets a little tricky to get consistency in smaller sizes. So it's more of the finer end. And with Zambia, you can have a more consistency. I believe I saw that post of the material that you received on your Instagram. Wasn't there a photograph of all that, right?
Yeah, of all of them lined up.
Exactly, that one. That's great. We're coming close to the 30-minute mark. I would encourage everyone who can see this now or watching the video later to help Susan get product in front of your product, and maybe adorn it with side post-consumer recycled diamonds if you had to.
That's what I do.
but the more impact Susan creates via these gems, the the quicker the benefit to these communities can affect their just the regular day-to-day, and on top of all of these, the to overcome the challenges that it is to do it safely and to sustain their business format on the long run, right? I think what's incredibly remarkable about what Susan and Jessica and even the Moyo Gems project is doing is not this one-off, right? It's not this one project that has a beginning and an end. It's just the potential for longevity of the establishing of this new paradigm, right? It's not it's creating this beautiful stepping stone for all of the communities and the actors in country before product gets into our hands. We tend to sort of like not even think about it, but once we see the process, once we meet the miners, the cutters, the people involved, it creates additional love, right? We all are passionate about what we do. Our craft is passion. Our passion, it's sort of expressed in how we sell, and then make that passion turn into additional benefit to the sourcing communities. It's huge. I don't know if we have any Q&As that rolled up here. Not much, but I invite everyone to come see us at the table that we have set up at the lounge today, tomorrow, and Saturday to come chat with us and gain additional insights about Virtu gems and post-consumer recycled stones. Anything else you would like to add?
No, that's great. That's great. I've got to come over and see some antique diamonds myself and visit you there. So
excellent.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
Thanks,
thank you.